Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture Comics, again joined by Zoe, because we've got something really cool over the weekend, because we were...
I don't know if you can read that.
In Thought Bubble.
We were at Thought Bubble,
one of the biggest conventions in the UK that has so many really cool guests, and yeah, we got up to some really cool stuff like
interviewing Donny Cates, we interviewed Al Ewing.
And Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey. So yeah, I hope you really enjoy the video, and yeah, that's all from us. Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture Comics. Today, joined by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're all right. It's been a great day so far. A bit tired, but we're getting through it. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Oh, there we go.
We did a Wick Div Epitaph panel because we've just finished our main book. That's just been really nice, just talking and meeting people, and sort of we survived these 5 years together, and now we get to have a few drinks and stop it.
Yeah. So, actually, I was going to ask, because for both of you, it's kind of been the most wild decade ever. I kind of want to say, obviously, Kieran, you transitioned from games journalism into comics, and you had that big transition. And then both of you have done so much work on The Wicked and the Divine, which, of course, ended this year. And, obviously, we talk about Captain Marvel and the legacy that you've had there. And it feels as though both of you have just kind of been non-stop, just changing the way we look at different kind of universes, whether that be, reappraising old Greek mythology or doing stuff with, Marvel. So, yeah, is the kind of anything from the last decade that you guys are most proud of?
I would say Wicked and Divine. It's such a big project. We wanted. It's rare in comics that you get to. First of all, it's rare in comics that you get to stay together as a team for so long. You get broken up into different projects, but it's rare that you get to have your one big book. Brian Vaughan's done it a bunch of times with various different artists and stuff. To be able to have that as our legacy or whatever you want to call it, has been really great. I don't know, but you probably say something that isn't working with me. I don't know.
Well, I once played a record for DMC, for Run DMC to rap over, and everything else is paled in significance. Wick Div, it's pretty good, but have you tried playing a record for DMC?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I did not know the Run DMC fact, so that's very interesting. At Thought Bubble, wow, that's really cool. My question really is this is more geared toward Kieran specifically at the moment, is when you had that big transition from journalism and then you kind of had all the stuff with Marvel and everything, and I kind of wanted to ask you the question is how did you find that? Because obviously you'd written beforehand and then you transitioned into all this, and yeah, it must be, I want to say a little bit daunting, but also really exciting at the same time.
You must never underestimate how foolish I am. And this sounds fine. The weird thing is the practicalities is what makes it interesting. I got into comics properly at circa 2000 when I was basically 25. By the end of that decade, I was writing for Marvel. That's weird, and that's kind of that's a really weird. You're talking about this decade being big. It's true, but last decade was also a seismically weird shift in my life, and since it was such a smooth segue from my writing about primarily games to writing comics, because I was free, it was so smooth. I was a freelancer. People started offering me work. I started doing that during the day, and then one day I woke up and realised, I'm mainly doing comics. There were moments when I was more nervous than others, but the fact that, when you're working online, especially, I work for magazines, work for The Guardian, but when you're especially online writers, I publish a review, an interview, and within 5 seconds, someone is calling me every swear word you might imagine. And that hardens you. You know what I mean?
And now it takes a month, because after you finish it, then the comic has to be printed and it comes out, and then they start swearing at you.
It builds up. So there was a bit of that. The moment if I was to choose one moment for my Marvel career, it's really early on, where I was doing my first story for them, which is 959 Universal. And an editor's on the phone, Warren Simons, who's great, and I've given the outline, and he says, could we have this scene? He said, could we swap this scene and have this beat here? And immediately I've gone to... you hear the horror stories about editors, and you're presuming it's going, oh no, this is where my story gets destroyed, it's where things break down, you get all those paranoid things. And I said, no, that would be a nice story. Took a big breath, said, yeah, it would be a good visual, but it would cause problems with the story because of this, and this. That, listed the reasons why. And as I sort of paused, went, actually, you're right. And that moment I realised, oh no, they're hiring you to be good. That moment I was like, yeah, there's all manner of things that go wrong, but in a real way, people want you to write good stories. And when that was there, you worried about it less. Yeah. And to be in the most awful way, it's it's a big deal to work stuff for Marvel, but I worried more about Phonogram. This is kind of it was explicitly, Phonogram was a if I die now, I'm okay comic. And that's always higher stakes than just writing for a multinational corporation. not as much as I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Jamie, I kind of want to touch back on the whole the idea of living behind a visual imprint on the Marvel universe. And obviously, you did the design for Captain Marvel, and then also Ms. Marvel, I believe, as well. What's that kind of been like, seeing just your design everywhere? Like, you got it all the way at Disneyland, you got it in the films, you got it. Is that really, really? I imagine it must be quite emotional and quite rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, you can't really describe how fantastic it is, but it's the thing that really got me. There was like a photo. I think it was at one of the Disney parks, and it was a bunch of like girls dressed as Captain Marvel, like 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, and realizing that kind of impact you have. They've got that hero to dress as now. It's just, I can't even describe how amazing that is. Yeah, and considering like how the whole thing started with like Kelly Sue kind of asked me to design it, kind of not officially, and then it kind of got slipped to the editor, and it was an interesting situation. And going from that to where it is now is just, yeah, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, I'm just trying to. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit emotional about it. Ms. Marvel's popped up in a bunch of stuff, and like, I can't imagine it'll be too long before she ends up in like the live action stuff as well. Like, that seems quite a natural thing to happen, and it needs to happen. A character like that appearing in it. It's really hard to explain, because like on one level you're just in your studio just designing these things by yourself. Captain Marvel was in like my house in Hackney at the time, just like I just had a little space to design, and going from that to then like we got flown out to the premiere in March or whenever it was, and like the entire street was done out in like the Captain Marvel logo and everything, and just that is just, yeah, I don't know, what can you say? Like it sometimes when you're drawing art and stuff like it, you feel like it's a bit silly and like you're not really doing anything, and then other times you realize you have made some changes and some differences to people. I mean, yeah. So,
cool. Similarly, Kieran, I am a big fan of Darth Vader and what you did on Star Wars, and I was going to ask what it's kind of like when you're with Marvel, and obviously you have such a massive, rich history to draw from. There's such like stacks and stacks full of everything going on there, and then kind of approaching Star Wars, which was just given a blank slate when Disney took over. Was that kind of pressure different, different to handle compared to the Marvel stuff? And yeah.
I always describe basically the Marvel universe is like a rainforest, as in the point the continuity is contradictory and enormous. I mean, you've got to simultaneously understand that the Marvel universe has only existed for maybe 11, 12 years, while simultaneously the Fantastic Four have seen the moon landing. These things are true simultaneously, and that's just the nature of the beast. Whilst when they kind of like did what they did with the canon, like they reduced the canon to some core works, and they're trying to treat it like the Garden of Versailles. They're trying to grow stuff, and they're trying to make sure it all aligns, and that's a really difficult task. And I think they've done it astoundingly well, to be honest. And it should have been a bit more pressure job than it was. Like, because literally the first movie I saw in the cinema was Empire. So, like, my run on Darth Vader was basically the run from A New Hope to Empire. So I was writing the prequel to my own entry into fandom. You know what I mean? Like, so that's some that's some Grant Morrison nonsense. And it was weird because it never did blow my brain. It was always like, oh, this is very natural. And that was the thing that's why I went so far into Star Wars after coming from Marvel. As in, I was aware that I was sort of burning out on my Marvel books. And I knew I was burning out on them because the Star Wars stuff was so much easier and so much more fun. And I completely loved all my Marvel work, and even when it was hard towards the end. But that kind of, this is very freeing, and it's so natural to speak in Star Wars' voice. And I always thought that maybe like 5 years down the line, my brain will go, "What? I did that," and then I'll fall over. But at that moment, it's like, no, also I'm writing Darth Vader. I was born to write Darth Vader. I exaggerate, but like it's so natural. Like you know what Luke says, you know what Han says, you especially know what Darth Vader says, and that kind of they're just such powerful, iconic voices. It's like, yeah, you'd be surprised by the lack of pressure I felt. Genuinely, I am surprised because if I think about it logically, it should have crippled me emotionally, but it didn't. It was fine.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. I want to talk about you guys as a creative duo as well, because I think your first collaboration, correct me if I'm wrong, was Young Avengers. Am I correct in speaking? Was it Young Avengers your first collaboration together, or no, it was?
Yeah, we did a book called Phonogram before that. And before that, gosh, we did some stuff that wasn't actually like proper comics, but we any good, yeah, or barely professional. It wasn't professional at all. But no, we started working together in like 2003. We think we met in 2003.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure, but we think we did. So we've been working together for like a very, very long time, yeah. So, and now we come to the end of it.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah. So I don't know what your question was after that, but...
But like Phonogram was our breaking through book. That's kind of where we made our names. That's kind of how Marvel started asking me for work.
Yeah.
And Young Avengers was explicitly, okay, can we take our indie comic way of doing comics, as in basically our Phonogram tool set, and apply it to the Marvel Universe? And that's kind of what Young Avengers came from. And I suppose Wick did was us taking our Young Avengers tool set and applying it to create our own work. You know, that was always basically you can do a kind of a journey of me and Jamie's time together, basically, from this to Wickdiv, and that's, you know, an ending of such.
Yeah.
And what is it like, kind of, you know, you create this concept, the Wicked and the Divine, and then it's so wonderfully, you know, absorbed by so many different readers. That's your own idea. That's really, really cool. How has it been to kind of say goodbye to it this year? Has that been, I can't get into all the emotional questions right now, but I imagine that's quite very rewarding, but also it's almost a little bit, it's like you're letting your child go out into the wild almost.
Yeah. No, it's extremely rewarding. Like, there's not much that we wanted to do with this book that we didn't do. Like most of the things we wanted to succeed with in this, we did, and we finished it, and we've got this whole book that's like 9 volumes, which is just an incredible, large amount of work. And the response has always been great. Like the first New York Comic Con, after I can't remember how many issues had come out. It wasn't many.
Yeah.
And we saw the line for the table, and we realized what had happened with this book. It was like, yeah, we've got something here. And like, there's some books in the past we've had a hard time on and we've had a difficult relationship with. And this one, like, it's a book that deals with a lot of emotional stuff that's close to us. So it's hard in some ways. But like the response to it, I think, has been really, really gratifying. I don't know what you would say.
No, Wickdiv. I'm sitting here looking at our queue, our table, waiting, and I'm like, oh, I feel guilt, but I also feel I feel incredibly responsible to like people because they've given us so much. We did a wake for Wickdiv in New York. We threw a party there, and there was genuinely a lot of hugging and tears at the end. In a really genuinely like this has meant something to people. But the thing is, we've been lucky that not lucky. It's probably wrong because some people probably don't want this. But even on Phonogram, we had people making tattoos of our stuff. You know, that we've always been a kind of certain sorts of fans that if you're the sort of person to get tattoos of stuff, Wickdiv is the sort of thing you would get a tattoo of. It's that kind of book. And as two people who have transformed by art, and it's enormous. Like, oh yeah, we did it. That was a big thing. And I keep on looking at, there's a cosplayer walking around as the girl from the Helena video by My Chemical Romance. And I'm thinking, it's a bit like that. You know, that's kind of what it feels like.
That's really cool. Yeah. I guess my kind of second to last question would be, is there anything you guys want to share? Any upcoming projects you got in the pipeline that you'd like to share with everyone at What Culture?
Sure, yeah. So I'm now working on my own book that I'm writing as well as drawing, which I haven't done for a long time because he keeps writing scripts for me. It's called The Killing Horizon. It's a big space opera comic coming out with Image sort of the end of next summer, so end like July, August 2020, which I'm very excited about. Working with Matt on colors again because I wouldn't want to work with anybody else. And that's taking up most of my time. You've got a bunch of stuff. There's one happening right now and more to come. Or 2 happening right now and more to come.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
I'm always a busy bunny. I launched a book called Die with Stephanie Hands, just before Wickdiv ended. The paraphrase is Goth Jumanji, but really it's about everything. Like it's about role playing and fantasy, and it's kind of like comparing your adult realities to your teenage fantasies, and it's doing really well. People seem to like it. I did a book with Dan Morrow and Tamara Bonville and at Boom called Once and Future, which is very much like a retired monster hunting grandmother recruits her entirely unknowing and frankly stupefied grandson into the family business, and it's all about Arthurian myth and sort of the identity of the British Isles, I guess. So it's kind of the Mummy does Brexit, I guess. And I've got a book. Thank you. And I've got a book called Image next year called Ludocrats coming out with I can't really. It was announced several years ago. It's finally coming out, and I'll be talking that soon. So I'm just busy, bunny. Bye.
Cool. Lastly, are you guys reading Hickman's X-Men at the moment, House of X and Powers of 10? See, we have a little pet theory. I don't know if you've seen it on the internet, the whole living arrangement between Wolverine, Jean, and Cyclops. We asked Danny Cates his thoughts about it. He thought it was pretty clear. What do you guys think's going on there?
I mean, there are doors between all their bedrooms. I think it's very clear. There's no argument there. Yeah. I do. It's very Hickman to like just put that in a graphic though, like not in a story page. Just like, yeah, he's a bit of a troll in that way.
Some people make it graphic, but Hickman makes it graph. Yeah, I'm also down to. That's that's all I've got to say, really. Yeah, I'm highly, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Mr. Sinister's on that island. Who knows what possibly could happen? He's friendly.
Brilliant. But yeah, that's really all the questions we have. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you have a great weekend. But yeah, it was great to see you. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed that interview, and please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell because it really does help us out. You can find more stuff like this at whatculture.com/comics. And yeah, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.